to get a rare stop in a football game where the offenses were the stars of the night, but the Niners win. And to help us talk more about that, we welcome in Matt Barrows from The Athletic, brought to you by Stockton Honda. Matt, you've seen a lot of football games in your life, and I don't want to do the recency bias thing here, but that was one of the better games I've seen. How about you?
Yeah, certainly one of the most exciting. It was reminiscent of that game, 2019 game in New Orleans, the George Kittle game, where Jimmy Garoppolo had a great game. Kittle had a great game. It was just an offensive explosion, and that's what we were seeing last night. Not a great game if you love defense or sacks and things like that. And that continues to be something that is kind of lurking with the 49ers. And, you wonder when it's going to finally bite them. And it looked for all the world like last night was going to be that night. But as he just played, they had a really interesting play call on that final play, basically dropping 9 guys into the end zone along the goal line. And it was clear that Caleb Williams didn't know what to do with the ball, with all that humanity just kind of sitting in the end zone on the final play.
Yeah, when the Niners got the touchdown that we played before that, the one to Jennings, a little over 2 minutes to go, and I know I thought it. I'm sure you guys thought it in the press box and the fans there. I'm like, 2:15. Immediately, Matt, I went from, yes, they're ahead, great touchdown, this is awesome. But not only did I think, there's too much time, I thought maybe if the Bears score fast enough, can the Niners then go down one more time? I mean, that's crazy to even have that thought, but it did come down to the end, and honestly, I did not think the Niners were going to hang on, and the way they did, that was truly amazing. Did you think the Niners defense was going to be able to come up with that stop?
I did. I mean, early in the drive, I thought that they had them, and then there was kind of an inexplicable coverage. I think it was one of Colston Loveland's many catches where 4th down, he's just wide open. And the reaction from Jair Brown, the safety, to D. Winters, the linebacker on that play, suggests that there was a miscommunication, which is why the tight end was so wide open. But to your point, 2:15, I think Ben Johnson, the calling the plays for the Bears, was extremely conscious of that. I mean, they had 3 timeouts to begin that drive, and I looked up, and they're well past midfield, and they still have 3 timeouts. So he was cognizant of not allowing Purdy and the 49ers to have any chance if the Bears were to score a touchdown. And maybe he did that. He overdid that, and they only had one real shot at the end zone, and the 49ers happened to call a really good play there.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the night. Now, obviously, the offense was highlighting everything, but I think even with guys out defensively, we understand it's a little more difficult, Matt, for the Niners right now. But the guys they do have, I didn't think they tackled very well. There were times where they kept the Bears shy of the first down, but a broken tackle, a missed, a turn, a simple move, and you're like, oh man, they still got that first down. I didn't think it was their best of the guys they had out there, their best tackling game.
For sure. On one of those Bears touchdowns, rushing touchdown, right up the gut. There were 2 missed tackles on that play, and then you wondered, okay, where's the safety on the play? Wasn't there. So yeah, a rough game. And for just about everybody on that defense. I thought that Tatum Bethune played well at middle linebacker, but he has 2 big penalties. One of which I'm not quite sure of. It's the one where he tackles, who was it? I guess it was Loveland again, low, and they said it's an illegal block. I don't know what a linebacker is supposed to do in that situation. Not tackle the guy at the ankles. And then the other one was he gets into a tussle with Loveland at the end of the play and strikes him in the face mask with an official 5 feet away. That's just something that you can't have, especially when you're that guy. You're the leader of the defense at that point. You're the middle linebacker. You're calling the plays. You're getting everybody set up. And that, I think, was a 3rd down play and gave the Bears an automatic first down. So lots of mistakes on defense. What could have been some costly mistakes on offense, the first play of the game, and then really a bad throw by Purdy in the end zone in which he got bailed out by an illegal contact penalty, which was a little bit ticky-tacky. I mean, even if you're a 49ers fan, I think you have to kind of admit that that was a very lucky break and usually doesn't get called. But they took advantage of that, and other than that, it was a pretty flawless night from Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think I did reference one of your comments during the game yesterday about, like, for those that are asking what's the difference between a guy like Mac Jones, who played well for the 49ers, versus Brock Purdy. I think it was that, I don't know, whirling dervish, spin, run, no, pass late to use check, and other plays too. He ran effectively at the right time, kept plays alive, read plays well. I mean, Brock's played really well, but that might have been the best. Even with some mistakes, I thought he was magical last night.
Yeah, and that toe injury, which was kind of looming over this season, he's doing moves out there that are, I mean, he's a half step ahead of everybody. It's like he knows what's going to happen. It reminds me of those Spider-Man movies where Tobey Maguire realizes he's 8 times faster than his opponent, and he's watching the guy's fist like come across his face. Brock Purdy seemed quicker than everybody out there, and he knew that. And you see his reactions, doing the Dougie and, the other game against Cody Barton where he just kind of put the ball in his face. I just think that, that's not his character, but I think he's just so elated by how he feels and that he's back to being himself that, there's just an energy that's coursing through him in those moments. And we're seeing the result of that. But yeah, that play, once his career is over with and people are creating highlight reels and things like that, that one I think has to be prominent because it was just creative and it showed everything that he's good at. His anticipation, his quick mind, his quick feet, and then he finds Juszczyk in the back of the end zone for a very easy touchdown at the end.
Matt Barrows joining us as he does each and every Monday at 9 o'clock from The Athletic, brought to you by our friends at Stockton Honda. Matt, I think about this team, and there are elite players on this team, like Christian McCaffrey's one of the great running backs, Trent Williams on the O-line, Fred Warner when healthy, Bosa when healthy, elite pass rushers and linebackers, and Kittle, one of the great tight ends in the game. I feel like when I heard some of the Niners post-game reaction to the way Brock Purdy played, I feel like the rest of his teammates are all bought in that, like, Brock is a difference maker and the way he's playing. Like, expect McCaffrey to make every play. You expect Kittle to make those catches. You expect Bosa to get to the quarterback and Warner to make these plays. I feel like that's the company now that Brock has put himself in from at least his teammates' perspective. They're like, this guy's a different guy now. He's confident. He's a leader. He's proving it. Are you getting that same sense that there's a full trust of Brock Purdy's teammates in him?
For sure. And that not only that, but that this is the year where they're going to have to really lean on him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's a good difference between 2023 and now. 2023, it was, Brock Purdy's good at delivering the ball to all of his playmakers. But he's probably a guy that needs to be surrounded, with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle to make this tick. Well, McCaffrey's been the only constant this year. And these last few games, 49ers 6-0, have really all been about Purdy. Last week against the Colts, storyline absolutely was about Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers got off to a hot start, and the announcers couldn't stop, gushing about him. And by the end of the game, it was about Brock Purdy. Caleb Williams last night, fantastic. If I'm an NFC North opponent, I'm dreading like the next decade. This guy looks, fantastic. Some of his throws were just unbelievable in terms of arm strength and how quickly he's able to get it out there. has one of the best games of his career, and yet the story is still Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
So he's out dueling these guys on some of their best nights as well. So when you have that, and I think this is the theme of this year's 49ers, you have a chance in every game, and I think that's the attitude that they'll take into the playoffs.
I'm with you on the Bears. I don't think any less of them. Like if they met the Niners again, I mean, that outcome could be different. They scored 38. Colts scored 27. Titans, not a great team, 24 the week before. I know everybody's worried about the defense. Can Robert Saleh come up with more schemes, more creativity, more ways to – because the offense is scoring, and maybe they're going to score. They slow it down to score. I don't know. But can this Niners team win effectively enough, whether it's this week or in the postseason, with this defense?
Win with the defense? No. I think winning in spite of the defense is, the order of the day. And, it's got to be something. There were a couple of plays last night where, a defensive back just didn't happen to have his head up and the ball whistled past him. There were a couple of opportunities for takeaways, but it was a precursor of the playoffs. I mean, a good team that can run the ball and has a good quarterback. That's what they're going to face in the playoffs. Robert Saleh threw everything, odd blitzes, things that they hadn't shown all season, this, that, and the other. And really there was no answer to it. They got a couple of quarterback hurries. That was it. You have to be able to make the opponent's quarterback uncomfortable. And I just don't think that the 49ers can do that. The other part of that is that when they did get pressure, it was up the middle. So it's their defensive tackles or guys who are lining up at defensive tackles. They've got nothing coming off the edge these days. And I just don't see how that's sustainable. I do see how it's sustainable. It means that your offense has to win the day for you every time. And, the 49ers are showing that that's possible. This offense gets hotter and hotter each week. The totals have gone up. Their three highest yardage total games have all been in the last three games, and they've got successively higher. So they're still getting better. They're still scoring more and more points each week, and frankly, I think that's what they have to do. I mean, that's the only option.
Well, let's get to Saturday's showdown, Matt, because here we are. We're hoping it would come down to Week 18. It does. There is so much on the line for both teams. There's such an advantage to be at home, to get the week off, to heal some bodies. We know the Niners wouldn't have to go anywhere for however long it went for them. Could go all the way to hosting a Super Bowl if they could beat Seattle. As you look at this matchup, Seattle a couple weeks ago gave up a bunch of points to the Rams, but generally they don't give up the points. What's your early thought as we're a few days away from that Saturday showdown on this matchup?
Yeah, I guess Seattle hasn't been as prolific on offense recently. They've struggled somewhat. One of their two wide receivers suffered a concussion against the Panthers. It's a short week. That's been sort of their Achilles heel. Jackson Smith-Njigba having a career year. He's fantastic. But they haven't had a lot of other options as far as playmakers. So if the other wide receiver doesn't play, I think, it's hard to see them scoring in the high 30s. But their defense is also good. So, tight game. I think George Kittle probably will be back for this one. So that's a big deal. Remember, he was off to a really big game against them in week 1, and then he suffered a hamstring strain and then missed the next 5 games. So, with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, you feast on the opponent's linebackers. And that may be a weakness for that Seahawks defense. I mean, it's a very good defense, but if you're looking for potential cracks, something that the 49ers might be able to exploit.
Yeah, and I'm looking back at the box score from that week 1. It was such a long time ago, but Pearsall played, had over 100. It was good to have him back. as a threat. Tonjes was good. Jennings. I mean, they really, to me, yesterday, the game plan was obviously a heavy dose of McCaffrey as a runner, and he got his yards. But Purdy, I thought, did a great job, Matt, of spreading it around. There wasn't one primary target, and with the choices, whether it was Juszczyk or Pearsall or Bourne or Robinson, like he was dishing it out to everybody. If you can get Kittle back in that mix as another key piece, I think the offense could even be more dynamic potentially.
Yeah, the 49ers are at their best when there's this mind meld between Kyle Shanahan and the quarterback. And, that's what we saw last night. It was, Shanahan was in his bag, and he was on the same wavelength as Purdy. And that's the result that we saw. So things are peaking offensively just at the right time. I mean, Purdy is red hot. The running game has finally gotten going. That's a difference between week one and now. You can say the same things about the Seahawks. I mean, their week one team was still sort of coalescing, and they weren't as good early in the season defensively as they are right now. But the 49ers run game, that's been a dramatic revival these last 3 weeks. I mean, they keep setting, new season highs for, single carry game yardage. They had 32 first downs last night. That's the highest number of first downs in almost a decade. So they're rolling. They're getting hot. They're confident. They lose Trent Williams. They put in Austin Pleasance, and it looked like Pleasance was, a Pro Bowler out there. I mean, it's just humming right now. So they just need to keep, continuing that momentum. They're not thrilled that this game's on Saturday. So it's a second straight short week. The Seahawks had to play in Carolina and fly back. So they're probably even as far as rest this week. But Kyle Shanahan did note that 2 straight short weeks, and then you don't really benefit from it. If you're playing on Saturday and you lose, then you're probably going to play on Saturday the following week in the wild card round. So there's no real, you're not gaining anything on your opponent, I don't think. And then if you win, you get the bye week anyway. So there's that. So I'm sure they would much rather played, at 105 on Sunday.
Yeah, and the swing too, man. I'm assuming, and it's unfair to assume, but the Rams, I think, will win tonight. And if they win in Week 18, the losers not only not winning the 1 seed or the division, but likely will be the 6. And you're avoiding that 5 spot that I think everybody wants to face, Carolina or Tampa, for the Niners' perspective if they were to lose. And now they'll likely go to Philly. It's what a swing that could be compared to having the weekend off.
Yeah, weekend off, home field advantage throughout the playoffs on one hand, go to, hellhole Philly.
Yeah, I know you don't want to go there.
The second hand, and I would not want to play the Eagles. I mean, I know that the Eagles aren't playing great and it looks ugly, but the Eagles want to get you into a knife fight in the mud. They want to drag you down into that morass, and then that's where they're comfortable there.
Yeah.
So that's one team I think you want to avoid. I think the Eagles and the Rams are going to end up being the 2 real opponents in the NFC playoffs with the 49ers thrown in there. Nobody wants to play this 49ers offense right now. It's humming.
Yeah.
The best offense in the league right now. So it's about getting hot at the right time. And the 49ers, I keep saying this with quote marks, the 49ers offensively are hot right now. The defense on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, so that kind of gets to the question that I have for you about this team and their longevity here from what's ahead from this weekend to the postseason. I agree with you. I think that there have been better Niner teams, top to bottom, more complete, certainly better defenses. But I think the way Purdy is playing, and you addressed it earlier, like now before he got the ball to the people in the right time and made the right decisions, but now he's making plays. He's a difference maker. Is the game that they have with Purdy make up for what they're missing from the defense? Like, does that make sense? Do they have more to offer with the most important position, Purdy, playing it at a higher level than he was when they were making that Super Bowl run, even with the deficiencies they have on defense?
Yeah, I think for sure. Your margin of error is slim, though. I mean, again, if that illegal contact call isn't made in the end zone, it's hard to see the 49ers winning this one. So you almost have to be perfect if you're Brock Purdy. And the way his game is he pushes the limits. And I think that the 49ers will take some imperfection for all of the aggressive throws and the playmaking that he does. If they beat the Seahawks, then they have that week of rest, and it's just 2 games you have to win to make it back to Levi's Stadium. You're not going to face Patrick Mahomes this year. Everybody seems to have a weakness. There isn't. Well, I just mentioned the Eagles. There isn't one team that you just have to avoid because that team is just a juggernaut. There are no juggernauts this year. So even with the very, very apparent flaw that is the 49ers defense, it's possible that they can run the table. They score 40 some odd points a game. Teams have done this. And come away with a victory. It's absolutely a possibility. But I'm sure every team making the playoffs this year is thinking the same way.
All right, last one for you, Matt, as we're talking to Matt Barrows from The Athletic. A lot of FaceTime last night for Fred Warner up in the box, then down on the field later in the game. Everybody's always curious. What are you hearing? What is the likelihood that we see him again?
The likelihood is, I'd say, good. I don't think it would be for the wild card round, for example. If they lose to Seattle, I don't think that you see Fred Warner in the first game. Now, if they get the bye and they're in the divisional, I think it's 50-50 whether you see him.
Wow.
And it may be, they've had all sorts of issues with that strong side linebacker role. Maybe that's what he plays. You let Tatum Bethune be your every down linebacker, and then you sort of get Fred Warner back into the stream by giving him, 12 snaps in that divisional round game. And then depending on how he reacts to that, if they're in the championship game, I think you need a team of horses to keep Fred Warner from playing in that one. And then, Jason, if it's the Super Bowl, you better bring an army because Fred Warner is going to find a way to play in that game on his home stadium, et cetera, et cetera. So he's ahead of schedule for sure. He's going to be pushing for it for sure. And it's going to be, up to the 49ers to, decide, okay, what kind of risk are we willing to take to get this guy back on the field?
Well, amazing story. If anyone could do it, it's him. What a game last night, Matt. We encourage everybody to check out your work today and all throughout the week leading up to the showdown Saturday in Seattle. We look forward to that game. We look forward to talking to you next Monday to recap it all and see what the Niners' path will be. Matt, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
Okay, talk to you then.
All right, Happy New Year. That is Matt Barrows joining us from The Athletic. Again, good breakdown of the Niners, brought to you by our friends at Stockton Honda. What a game. Truly, what an amazing game last night. All right, still to come, Crosstalk, celebrity birthdays. But up next, What's on Deck, brought to you by Trex Decking and Railing. We've got that and